an impact than it had today. But, you know, fair enough. Maybe a Mirror Mullions means that we get to see less cav, right? That's what Mullions do, right? Have less cav?
Nope. Not really.
Oh, darn it.
Quite the opposite. Previous matchup that we've been watching here at EGC, we had like 30 plus scouts on both sides, and these two guys have been watching that as well. So I would think that we could see something very similar to that as we hop into game number 3. Beasty is going to be in yellow once again. MarineLorD, this time around, he's going to be using the blue color. Looks like he loves to change his color around every single game.
Why not? I mean, purple, blue, isn't it all the same?
This map has no water. Like, when there is water, you could justify going for the sneaky blue pick, so it's a little bit more difficult to spot your ships by the opponent. Well, assuming that the opponent doesn't use the friend and foe colors setting. But, yeah, I mean, I've heard some people experimenting with using these sneaky picks. Like, let's say being green on Arabia, make it a little bit more difficult for the opponent to spot those dots. I would actually be interested to hear whether these players play with friend and foe colors, because I think some players don't, but the majority of the players, I think, now transition to that.
It would only make sense, right? Just in case. That was something that was used a lot in AoE 2, still is also in tournaments where you can really pull your opponents on the side. But hey, at least you can't put has advanced the castle age in the chat to really pull their attention away.
True. Very true. You can't just put random stuff in the chat to make your opponents surrender. Well, you technically can, but you probably get banned for it. And luckily, most people don't know what to put in the chat to accomplish that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, so far it seems like we have a mirror opening for Mirror Mullions on Mirror Arabia. Honestly, with two players that are this close, Lita, a big micro battle is exactly what I want to see.
Yeah, and you are going to see that. Like, this is going to come down to the finest of all details. Mansa Quarry coming in for both players, and it's going to be 7 villagers building it initially for both. MarineLorD actually takes away 1, so he's going to be going up with 6. So, neither of the players will be using the approach that B has taken in the previous set that we have seen, which was 8 villagers being used. It's going to be closer to the style of the Muslim, who used 7 vills, and didn't go for professional scouts, but rather a cattle-based approach.
So what is that? 5 houses that are built around? Is it actually the same thing on the other side? With the pit mine? Really curious about it.
Oh yeah.
It's 6.
Yeah,
okay.
That's 6.
Okay, slight difference.
Yeah, that could point towards either a professional scout's play from MarineLorD, because that's what's a little bit more gold heavy, or maybe he wants to accelerate the research of wheelbarrow / double broadaxe. So whatever he's doing, it has to be a little bit more focused on an eco upgrade, because that's where you can really use up your gold at.
There it is. Feudal timing in pretty much the same for both of our players, and are they going to start up with their own cav? There it is. Stables up. Should be the same thing on the other side for Mr. Beasty. Wouldn't be surprising, of course, but that's the question. We asked the same thing before. There it is. Will you go for professional scouts or not?
Yeah, he's not gonna go for that. He's already building a mill, so he's gonna play cattle. Other side, I don't see a mill just yet for MarineLorD. So he's keeping his options open, but there's the mill as well. So both of them will play cattle here, completely mirroring each other's moves. And seeing the positioning of MarineLorD Scout, I think he also spotted the mill close to the TC of Beasty. So he knows fully well that Beasty isn't going to play professional scouts. As I'm saying that, Beasty goes for professional scouts, so, well, Caster Curse, Pepega Caster, 1 head. Well, it happens. Every once in a while it happens, okay?
Look, if we could dig deep into player minds, we would just be playing, right? That's how it goes. So you have the option now, to go for pro scouts, despite the fact that you're going for mill at the same time, keeping up the production. 5 warrior scouts are out for Beastie and more on the way. Slight advantage over MarineLorD, but also having professional scouts on top of it. But as you mentioned, MarineLorD was going for more of the eco upgrades. He banked up the resources for it, and now he's going to getting them done. Beastie using his advantage in pure manpower, though, to push his opponent's mine.
Yeah, now this is gonna be an interesting posturing here for Beastie, because he went very aggressive out there, but that kind of feels like a decoy. Kind of makes his opponent believe that he's not going professional scouts, because if you were to go professional scouts, you would be close to a hunt, right? But he goes aggressive, shows that, okay, I'm going to play aggressive in my scouts, and now he falls back just when the upgrade finishes, and he's going to ferry in that deer patch. In fact, he's pushing away this one scout to make sure that it's going to be a little bit more difficult for MarineLorD to spot this, but I think MarineLorD, seeing those deer being taken down, yeah, he should have a visual confirmation on this, but he doesn't have the scouts in position because he was busy defending his gold mine.
And what can he really do against it, right? He can at least take some map control, but beyond that, he's just feeling a bit more comfortable. He's spreading out. He's expanding as we speak for an extra mine, building up all the houses around it, and now tries to push up and at least keep some pressure up on the Beastie, but you can't really go anything under the TC. You'll have to push around the mine, and that's exactly what he's doing. As it's being built up, it's a good moment for you to come in, do damage, get some snipe and chip damage over on those buildings around it too. And Beastie's going to have to ferry back his units. You see, they're quite far away. They're still busy with the deer, so Beastie cannot take this engagement for just pure lack of manpower.
Yeah, this is the similar approach that the Muslim has taken against B. Basically saying, okay, you have to choose between ferrying in the carcasses and defending your gold mine. In that set between Beastie, or between B and the Muslim, B chose to defend his gold mine. Here, Beastie says, okay, you can torch down the houses, I will still bring in the carcasses, especially because MarineLorD doesn't have all of his scouts here. He only has 7 of them out here. The other 7 is actually missing in action, trying to chase down the scouts that are ferrying in the deer, but they're just a little too late to the party, so MarineLorD won't be able to deny either of those deer patches from Beastie, and now Beastie's eco is going to start skyrocketing.
And on top of it, yes, you did some damage to the buildings around the mine and the mine itself, but you didn't completely destroy it. And that kind of half measure does not net you the big win that you were really looking for here. It merely delayed by just a bit, but the amount of eco that Beastie can bring up with his deers is absolutely massive, and both players are massing up as many of these horses as possible. But now, even more will be coming in from Beastie with a 3 advantage, with more on the way of warrior scouts.
Yeah, now it's just full scout warfare over here, but Beastie does have the power of the hunt, which gives him, or at least which should give him, a slightly better food eco. Right now, MarineLorD's food income is slightly better, though. That doesn't really translate into numerical advantage, though. It's 23 versus 22 scouts, and neither of the players will likely commit to this. It's just a dance back and forth. You don't want to sacrifice your army unless you have to, and it looks like MarineLorD will be the one pulling the trigger on this, seeing that he needs to fight this to protect his pit mine.
He definitely has to. The upgrades will be coming in for both of the players in armor upgrade here, but it's going to take just a moment. It's going to come in at the same time for both of them. 15v16. The rally point is just really helping out MarineLorD on the defense. It's a lot of units lost, but still an equal fight for both of them. MarineLorD slipping just a bit more ahead with a couple extra vills and a couple extra scouts, and that is about it, though.
Yeah, it's an even trade, so we're gonna have to start taking a look at who's banking up resources. right now neither of the players are doing that, but MarineLorD consistently has a better food eco, or a slightly better food income than Beastyqt does. He also seems to have a slightly better gold income right now. So over time, that's going to start showing, but right now the discrepancy between the two players is very minimal.
So starting to pull ahead, MarineLorD bringing in some extra units, extra warrior scouts himself. One thing to point out though is that, at least for now, Beastyqt has the melee upgrade up, though MarineLorD is halfway in on his own first upgrade, so they should be equal in numbers and in upgrades in just a moment. But this is what we expect of a Malian mirror on a map like Arabia, is that there's going to be a lot of posturing. There might be a fight here and there, there's going to be a bit of raid here and there, but otherwise, a lot of posturing until you move on to Castle Age.
It's about who blinks first right now. Now, looks like MarineLorD is the one that's going to start stacking up resources for Castle Age a little sooner, but looks like he's doubling down on this. He's up to almost 40 scouts, Beastyqt in the low 30s right now, but neither of the players are willing to relent. They are just spamming scouts, waiting for either of them to stop, and then whenever the opponent stops, you just go and take a decisive engagement.
I love the wall in. This is something that might be crucial for Beastyqt. The fact that he set a wall on the side is going to prevent MarineLorD from escaping if he dives too deep into his opponent's base, and the rally point would be very helpful. MarineLorD has to be careful to not be stuck between the forest, the TC, and that wall that's been put up. I'm not sure if he has any info on it. A fight being taken around. No concave yet, but the flank comes in for MarineLorD. 2 numbers are definitely in MarineLorD's hands. Not sure why Beastyqt is taking this engagement. This is going to be very painful here. He's got to fall back. Numbers are falling down very quickly for Beastyqt, and he's just going to keep it up. Upgrade-wise, yes, he has 1 extra upgrade, but it doesn't even matter because we're talking about melee fights in this case. Numbers are dropping down. 10 advantage for MarineLorD, who rallies more with his reinforcements, and health advantage has to be played under the TC for Beastyqt to survive.
Yeah, it was a dead even trade. Identical upgrades when it comes to melee combat for the two players, and I guess here the explanation is that it's a little difficult to assess the exact number of units your opponent has. You can select your own, you know how much you have, but you look at the screen, is that more or is that less than what I have? It's a little hard to tell, especially in a mirror where you anticipate the numbers to be very close. So here for Beastyqt, he just said, okay, numbers seem relatively close, he's close to my base, I might as well fight this. Now, concern for Beastyqt is that now MarineLorD has 10 advantage in the cavalry department. Beastyqt is going to start adding Donsos slowly, but that means that he's going to start losing out on the mobility element, and that could be the first major advantage that we have in this game, and that would be in the hands of MarineLorD.
So there's the Donsos that are being brought out, the spearmen being built in. This is a question of why no spears? Why no spear? Why no spear? And there it is, finally being brought out. It's going to be helpful in this situation here to at least even up the count, despite the fact that it's around 10 more cav units for MarineLorD in this case with the warrior scouts. So a lot of posturing. Maybe it would have been better here to snipe out that mine in the center, but still some damage done. Like I said, it's been equal so far between both of our players, with now Beastyqt coming up ahead in his own food production, which for a while has definitely been in MarineLorD's hands. Is it me? Gold from MarineLorD is looking good. You want to bank up and get to castle.
Yeah, as long as Beastyqt takes the initiative, those Donsos will play off, because they're slow, but when they are in these fights, they will make the difference. And MarineLorD, he wanted to go up to Castle Age. He's actually getting a good raid going as well with the excess scouts that he has. But in the meantime, he doesn't have the Donsos himself to hold off this assault. Now, he's punishing Beastyqt big time over here, so quite a few villagers being lost. Beastyqt is going to respond by taking down the pit mine. And MarineLorD looks like he's bailing on the idea of Castle Age altogether. He had 1200 food for it, but he needs to double down on feudal age, seeing this aggression from Beastyqt.
Good hit on the pit mine and just keeping up the damage. Beastyqt trying to use whatever advantage he has currently in numbers, which has not happened pretty much the entire game until this point. And MarineLorD does not have a mass on the other side of the map to do damage himself. With 15 of these Donsos on the ground for Beasty, he's got flexibility to deal with any scouts that get rushed into him. A wall of spears, a staunch wall of spears, as many, I guess, high elf players would know. It's going to be very helpful. There's the push, there's the play around the gold, and unfortunately MarineLorD's numbers were being split in between that big rock. Now it's not going to be as helpful. There it is, spraying all around, spreading it, building up the concave, loads of damage done. 30 advantage for Beasty. MarineLorD losing the same amount of number in front of his own home. Reinforcement coming around from the back, but it might be too late. Look at the amount of damage being done. The wraparound, also the scouts. They're being glued in here in between MarineLorD scouts, but the manpower advantage is definitely palpable. More reinforcements streaming in for Beasty as he pushes in, realizes, you know what, even if I lose more of my numbers, I have so many of them, I can sacrifice them against the Vils. But this is not working out too well for him. More of these Donsos rallying in for MarineLorD as Beasty is winning out the fight. He's bringing his own reinforcements behind the forest line and clears out the last bits of warrior scouts left. Well done. That's a clear. Another Malian.
Such a crazy game. For a long time, it was about who was gonna blink first. And Beasty was the one to do so, started adding the Donsos. And when I saw the first two Donsos, I was like, okay, if you only have a few Donsos, that's not gonna help, because it's not going to be a decisive advantage. And MarineLorD is gonna go to Castle Age and counter whatever you have with the Farimba garrison. That was the plan for MarineLorD. The thing that Beasty did very well was making sure that MarineLorD never gets to Castle Age. Even just a handful of Donsos was enough for him to push back MarineLorD to his base, and then he just doubled down on the Donsos, started to build up a mass that was difficult for MarineLorD to fight off, and from that point on, he could just posture in front of MarineLorD's base, never let him get to Castle, and then MarineLorD was just playing catch-up in a matchup that you cannot play catch-up in.
And after enough Donzos, you're Donzo. That's it. Beasty gets the advantage. B's watching this and thinking, God damn it, we're so close. But a 2-1 advantage was in for Beastyqt at seed number 4. A reminder for Beasty, he wants to win this game against MarineLorD for many, many reasons. One of them, a pretty major one, is to hold on to that 4th seed to be later on in the Golden League 2 playoffs, where MarineLorD is already qualified. You see he's in seed 3. That's pretty important. It's a big bump in money and a big chunk of the prize pool once you're in the top 4, because it's all open for our top players.